Yeah. Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and the Doc coming back at you today to talk about injuries. And luckily, we have a lot of injuries to talk about. You're over there dancing like an Egyptian when you should be over there dressed as the Grim Reaper because you just continue to bring more and more injuries on a weekly basis. Ethan, what do you have to say for yourself?
Jake, it's the bipocalypse.
It is 100%.
It's the injury apocalypse.
It's bad.
This is the storm of a century.
Can you think of, in recent memory, 1 week that was as bad as week 7 overall when you take into consideration buys and injuries?
It's been a while, let's put it this way. I've been doing this for about 5 years. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure there have been horrible bye week examples, but the combination of bye weeks, the teams that are on bye all being like decent fantasy teams, and the number of players that are just out with injury, we've got some pretty ugly lineups this week.
Dude, I had to rank Leonard Fournette inside my top 10 this week, and that just felt dirty. But even though he's been playing well, I thought it was like 2018 again. I had no idea what was going on. It was crazy. But you know what? We're going to dive into the injuries. Maybe you're here for Show Us Your Teams. Don't worry, we got a few rosters to go over as well. Plus, we're dipping in the mailbag here. Make sure you check the timestamps out down below so you can make sure you get what you're looking for. But Ethan, we got a lot of players to discuss here in a short amount of time. Where do you want to start? You want to start with some good news? A welcome back maybe here for week 7?
Yeah, we're going to start with a welcome back. But I want to preface before we get into these injuries, I did leave out all the teams that are on bye this week just for time's sake. So if I don't mention a player and they're on a bye, leave them in the comments. I'll tell you what I think about them, what you should be doing with them. But all the players that we're going to talk about today for injuries are going to be players that are actually playing this week or potentially playing this week.
What about some guys that we already know that are ruled out here for this week?
Yeah, we got 2 guys here that got placed on IR late last week. Actually, after we recorded the injury episode, which was pretty surprising. The first one is CMC. That's kind of the big news. He got placed on IR with the hamstring injury that he's been dealing with. The problem is that earlier in the week, it seemed like he was almost ready to return. So I'm guessing we saw the hamstring injury strike during practice this week. He re-aggravated it last week, re-aggravated it in practice, and they decided to just shut him down for 3 weeks. So no CMC for the next 3 weeks. Chuba Hubbard becomes a long-term, waiver wire. It could be the waiver wire pickup of the year if he keeps up how he's playing. Chris Carson's the other running back that we saw that we hadn't really gotten any great news on him, but they hadn't put him on IR. So a lot of people were holding out hope that he might be okay. He's dealing with a neck injury. He was placed on IR as well. The timeline is still to be determined. I don't know if this is a 3-week thing. Do they think he's going to come back in 3 weeks? We don't really know with neck injuries. It's really hard to tell how careful they're going to be with him. This could be something that keeps him out for a large chunk of the rest of the season. Next up, we got 3 guys that, of course, everybody already knows that they were out, but I figured we'd talk about them so no one hits me up in the comments.
Yep.
First, we have Kareem Hunt. He's dealing with a calf strain that he had last year. He got placed on IR last week. He had a calf strain, went down, thought it might be an Achilles, but he was kind of holding the upper part of his calf. So he avoided the huge injury, but still got placed on IR. Typically with grade 2 calf strains, they can take anywhere from about 3 weeks to 8 weeks. So Hunt is going to be out for a while. We saw Dearness Johnson taking over because Nick Chubb also out last night. He is dealing with his own calf strain. Was kind of a surprising scratch last week. Didn't really hear much about this injury in practice last week. We knew he wasn't practicing, and then he got ruled out. And so ruled out early this week. Again, short week, not super surprising when a player misses after missing a game. It's pretty rare that they come back on a short week. But he does have 10 days to rest. We'll give you another update next week and see kind of how he's doing. Nick Chubb, that is. We're hoping that this is not something that's going to keep him out for a long time. Last up, we have the quarterback, Baker Mayfield. He's dealing with a labral tear in his left shoulder. That's not his throwing shoulder, so he should be able to still play through this. But He wants to play through, but the team is being pretty cautious with him, just trying to limit the damage in that off shoulder, hoping that they can make the playoffs. He's basically already said he's going to have off-season surgery for this labral tear in his shoulder, but right now it's kind of just a pain management issue. How long can he, stay up, avoid any more damage to it? The one thing to note is that if the Browns were to kind of fall and lose, a few games here, fall out of playoff contention, they could shut Baker Mayfield down for the whole season, just because we know he's going to have surgery. That's going to happen. So if you're relying on Baker Mayfield to be your starter for the rest of the year, just know that that's a pretty risky investment, just because we know what's coming for him this offseason.
Right. And hopefully you're not reliant on Baker Mayfield. If you are, you've probably already been struggling. He's a great game manager type quarterback in the NFL, but not so much fantasy wise. But here's my question, and hopefully I don't put you on the spot. But with Nick Chubb, I'm all about that Chubb life, Ethan. If you're in a redraft league right now, are you worried enough to where you're willing to trade him? Or are you just holding on and hoping for the best?
I'm not worried enough that I would trade him unless I'm getting a pretty obvious upgrade, either at running back or wide receiver. I'm not really actively shopping him unless I think I can get a healthy upgrade. There are not very many healthy upgrades to Nick Chubb right now. And so I'm probably in this position where I have to hold, but it is a good question. It is worth something. If you've got Nick Chubb and you need wins right now, I'd be reaching out maybe to some other players that, have somebody that you like that is an RB1 and trying to get a hold of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the injury to Kareem Hunt. If Chubb can get on the field, you're looking at some huge potential weeks
huge
here coming
numbers.
All right, perfect. Now we're moving on to some other news and notes, and we're going to break this down by position. We're going to start off with ball throwers. We need to make sure that there's some guys out there that can deliver some clean balls. Who are we looking at the quarterback position, Ethan?
So right now we're dealing with two quarterbacks, same team, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance. Trey Lance hasn't been practicing. He's dealing with a knee sprain. This team is coming off of a bye week. So the fact that he's still not practicing is not looking good for him being able to play. Jimmy Garoppolo was dealing with a calf injury that cost him a few games prior to the team's bye, but it does look like he is practicing in a limited capacity. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is probably getting the start here. Which could be good news for Deebo Samuel, who Jimmy Garoppolo seems to target when they're both healthy. Yep. But no, we're not expecting anything out of Trey Lance, at least not right now.
Perfect. All right. Well, what about some wide receivers? I know there's a laundry list of wide receivers out there that are banged up as well, but what are some of the big names that we're paying attention to here this week?
First up, we got Antonio Brown. He's dealing with an ankle sprain that he had last Thursday. He did manage to have a pretty solid day even after he sprained the ankle. He hasn't practiced yet this week, but as a veteran, he doesn't really need a ton of practice reps to be effective. So I would expect him to play through this. It sounds like it's a low ankle sprain. We know with low ankle sprains, they can tape him up, they can brace him. It's more than likely that he's going to be able to play through this. Next up, we got Terry McLaurin. He's dealing with a hamstring strain. He didn't practice Wednesday, did get a limited session in on Thursday. He's coming off two of probably his worst games of the year, maybe two of the worst back-to-back games in his young career. He's not playing at 100% with this hamstring injury. Still, it looks like he's likely to play. Probably going to have to put him in the lineups, just given what we know in terms of players that are hurt and on bye this week. You're not going to have a whole lot of other options except for Terry McLaurin. Perfect. Next up, we got Tyreek Hill. He's dealing with a quad contusion. He hasn't practiced yet this week, but he didn't really practice last week either, and still played, was still effective. I'm hoping the same type of timeline is coming, that this wasn't a setback or anything. He gets the Titans. They're dead last in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. So the Chiefs passing options are going to be pretty primo in terms of DFS. And I think it adds in a little bit of maybe Mecole Hardman if you're really searching for a wide receiver 3 or a flex option in your league. Mecole Hardman might have a chance to put up some points. I want to say the Titans have given up 15 fantasy points to multiple wide receivers 4 times already this year. And so they're a team that I'm targeting, especially in DFS. This Chiefs offense should absolutely feast.
It was funny this past weekend when I was at the game. I actually got to see Tyreek Hill score and do the 1.5 pumps. So he was looking okay when he was doing his 1.5 pumps.
Jake saw him in person. Yeah, I didn't.
He was thrusting. Like, you can't see it because it's below camera. But right now, my hips are gyrating.
Nobody wants to see that.
Nobody. No problem.
Nobody.
Okay.
Next up, we got Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton. Golladay is still dealing with that hyperextended knee from week 4. Toney managed to re-injure his ankle sprain in the game last week. He looked like he was on pace for a monster game, but neither of those two have been practicing yet, and it doesn't appear like they're going to play. The team hasn't officially ruled them either one of them out, but again, it doesn't look like either one of those guys is going to play this week. Darius Slayton is practicing in a limited capacity, but he did do that last week and still didn't play. All this is lining up for another PPR day for Sterling Shepard. Again, if you have him, he's probably going to get targeted about 10, maybe 12 times. So he's going to be flexible for sure, and you're probably putting him in a wide receiver slot just given what we have in terms of options this week. Next up, we got Julio Jones. Man, I'm telling you what, Jake, hamstring strains are undefeated.
100%. Yeah.
100%. Julio did manage to play last week, but as we all know, that re-injury risk for hamstring strains is the highest when the player first comes back. Jones re-injured his hamstring and is now not practicing again. If I had to guess, they're going to rest him, try to get this thing back healthy enough to where he's not going to re-injure it again. We've seen this over and over and over with Julio Jones. I want to say it's something like 75% of the time he re-injures his hamstring once he's injured it once in the season. So they should know better, but they didn't. We have his teammate up next, AJ Brown. He's been dealing with an illness. He popped up on the injury report Monday before their game with an illness, some type of stomach bug. It's not COVID, but he hasn't been practicing this week. They're trying to get this illness, kind of straightened out, get him healthy, get him full of fluids. I would expect him to play on Sunday, but it's just worth kind of monitoring, knowing that he's not going to be 100%, might be a little dehydrated. That could lead to some other issues if he decides to play and is not at 100%.
Now, he did just tweet out 5 hours ago that his body is rejecting any food that he eats. He says, this ain't no joke. So he's still not feeling 100%. So he's just somebody who could be a little bit weaker heading into the weekend, even if he is feeling better.
Yeah, not exactly what you want to see there with AJ Brown. Again, people can get sick too. It's not just COVID.
That's right.
Last wide receiver here, T.Y. Hilton. This is a shame because we were excited because he was.
We just got him back.
He just got back. Come on, like, why you got to do this to us? He did manage a few healthy quarters after coming off the IR with that neck injury, but now he's dealing with a quad strain. He's not practicing. It just doesn't look like it's T.Y. Hilton's year.
It's not meant to be.
It's just not meant to be.
No.
We have this, sometimes it's just not meant to be. Okay. So Zach Pascal, kind of a dart throw. If T.Y. Hilton isn't able to go, obviously Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be startable again. If you're just trying to find bodies, Zach Pascal, he's an option that you could throw in. If you're really, really hurting, might still be available in some leagues.
Otherwise, look at Mo Cox, Mo problems there at the tight end position.
Mo problems.
That's right. Perfect. All right. Now, on to the bread and butter. We know that we have a lot of injured running backs out there. We got a lot of running backs on bye. We got no Zeke this week, no Dalvin Cook, no Najee Harris, no Austin Eckler, no J-Rob, no James Robinson. And then we got some big names also a little bit banged up, Ethan. What about, let's start off here at the running backs. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Saquon has this ankle sprain that he's been dealing with since week 5. He's not practiced yet. Doesn't look like he's going to play. Devontae Booker going to continue to start. If Barkley does sit, I expect him to. Booker is going to be startable. Again, I warned you guys last week. That was not a good matchup. He should have a better matchup this week. So Booker kind of gets in that flex RB3 range, maybe RB2, just given volume. Next up, we got Alex Collins. He was a big time player last week, picking up off the waiver wire. Me and Kyle in the live stream were just pounding Alex Collins all over the place.
Whoa.
Whoa, don't say it like that. We said to start him. If you started him, you're going to be thrilled that you did, but he did end up banged up after that game. Didn't manage to play in the overtime, which has me a little bit concerned about his availability this week. He hasn't practiced yet, and the team has a Monday Night Football matchup, which is always kind of concerning just because if you put him in your lineup and then he scratches late, you're really out of options, especially in a week like this. Going to be a tough game time decision. I'd have a backup ready if it was me. We'll talk about maybe a guy you could pick up potentially if nobody else noticed a little bit later in the show, but Alex Collins dealing with that injury.
Perfect.
Latavius Murray, he left in week 5 with an ankle sprain. He's not officially ruled out, but the Ravens appear to be planning, for him not to play this week. If you're really struggling with bye weeks, Devonta Freeman, Le'Veon Bell appear to be the backups. They were playing some kind of weird running back carousel last week. Nobody was really getting anywhere close to the majority. So you can kind of put either one of those guys in, hope that they score a touchdown in this big offense. Not really a sexy option at all, but no Latavius Murray most likely this week. Antonio Gibson, again, he did say that this injury he's been dealing with is a stress fracture. He's been limited in practice for 4 weeks now. He continues to play every Sunday. Hasn't missed a game yet. I expect this again to be the case, but I am concerned. He is coming off his worst fantasy performance of the year. He remains a must start if he plays, but I would consider this is a guy that I am considering maybe exploring trade options for healthier RB1s if you can. Gibson is still playing, which means his value hasn't taken a huge hit. But if for some reason this team can't pull it together, gets out of the playoff hunt, they're going to probably sit him. There's also a risk that the stress fracture gets worse the more he plays on it. And if that's the case, then you're really the only way you heal this is to let it, heal and let it basically, you don't do anything on it. And so if they're not going to get him that, then there is a chance, I guess, that he, could be sat down or it could get worse. So Antonio Gibson, I'm looking to potentially try to trade him if I can get, top value. Last running back here, Chase Edmonds. He's been limited for 2 weeks, remains capped at practice. He's limited. He's not playing well at all. I warned everybody last week that he was a sit for me. He was a sit. He should have been a sit. You should not have played him. If you did, I'm really sorry. Maybe next time you should listen. He is going to stay a sit for me until he can prove that he's healthy. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury. It doesn't look like he's 100%, and he's a total avoid for me until he can prove that he is, even 75% of what he was to start the year.
Yeah, especially in a game like this week. I mean, they're not going to really need Chase Edmonds, I don't think, going up against Houston. They can just ride James Conner a little bit longer in that game. All right, What about some tight ends, the football kind?
Yeah, first up, we have Ricky Seals-Jones. Certainly not a sexy name, but Ricky Seals-Jones has played 90% of Washington's offensive snaps since Logan Thomas went on IR. Ricky Seals-Jones is dealing with a quad strain, but he was able to practice on Thursday in a limited fashion. He's trending towards playing again. There's no good tight end options, so if you've got Ricky Seals-Jones and he's playing, you can probably play him. He's at least getting snaps on the offensive side of things. TJ Hockenson, he's dealing with a knee sprain. It's his 3rd week in a row of having limited practice, but he hasn't missed any games yet. So just updating everyone, I'm not concerned about this. He should play. He's still startable. This is not something that I'm, we're watching it, but it's not something that I'm like taking TJ Hockenson out for. Last up, we got Gronk. He's dealing with rib injuries from way back when. He was seen running on the sidelines with trainers, which is a good sign for him, but he's still not practicing in pads. It's not likely that he plays, but he's at least moving in the right direction. We could be seeing Gronk within the next two weeks. So, obviously, if you're looking for tight end help, he might be somebody I might target in a trade.
Perfect. All right, now let's get some potential positive news in here, Ethan. I'm going to channel my inner Jim Carrey here, and you're telling me there's a chance on a few guys, and who are those guys that we may end up seeing here this week?
So this is one guy that I think everybody should be paying attention to and probably rostering just in case. Rashaad Penny, Alex Collins, Chris Carson, both possibly missing this week. Rashaad Penny could be a welcome addition. I found this nugget when I was looking up Rashaad Penny. He's looking towards getting activated and playing this week. But did you know that of 179 running backs taken in the first round, only 5 have never recorded an NFL start? and that Rashaad Penny is one of them. I feel like Rashaad Penny always gets hurt right before he's about to start.
Yep.
I just found that really interesting that he has never actually recorded a start. There's only 5 running backs taken in the first round that's ever done that.
Wow.
Looks like this week might be a chance for him to get a start.
Like
If not, he could be in line to start within the next 2 weeks. So he needs to be rostered pretty much everywhere.
Nice little nugget there, Ethan.
It is a good nugget.
Good nugget. It's a good
Jake,
nugget.
can you name the one other active running back that was drafted in the first round that has not recorded a start yet?
Is he currently injured?
Yes.
Mm.
He was drafted this year.
In the first round this year? Why am I not? Hold on.
You know this, Jake.
I do. Let me look here. Let me
drafted in the first round, hasn't played a game yet.
Why is this so difficult? It's not Michael Carter. No. First round? Wasn't Gainwell. No.
He plays for the Jags.
Oh, yeah. Travis Etienne.
Travis Etienne.
I'm not thinking about it because he's been out forever.
2 active running backs that have not recorded a start yet that were drafted in the first round. Rashaad Penny and Travis Etienne.
Wow.
The more you know. Next up, I'm going to update everybody on Michael Thomas. Got a lot of requests for this last week. Calm down, baby birds. Ethan will feed you. Okay. Michael Thomas is coming off ankle surgery. Okay. He is technically able to return as of this week. However, Ian Rappaport did report earlier this week that despite him being eligible to return this week, it's unlikely that we see Michael Thomas for at least a few more weeks at a minimum. So we're going to keep you updated on Michael Thomas as best we can, but just know probably not happening this week. Could be even longer. Michael Thomas probably not looking like a great fantasy pickup if you spent any kind of draft capital on him. Last up here, we got Jerry Jeudy. He was designated to return from IR, wasn't able to get cleared for last night's game, but there is some hope that with a 10 days rest that Jerry Jeudy could return. So just kind of look around, see what's happening. I doubt he's on waiver wires, but just know that it does look like Jerry Jeudy is going to return at some point in the next 2 weeks. And so that's just good to know because we just need all the wide receivers now. All the wide receivers.
Just all of them. Anybody we can possibly get.
Anybody we can get at this point.
I mean, I think you've talked majority of the NFL now. Is there anybody else you want to mention or should we move on?
Nope. That's it.
We're good. Done with the negativity. On to having some fun. I like having some fun, Ethan. So let's head over to show us your teams here right now. And we got some good ones. I mean, we say this every single week. When I post this on Twitter, I'm like, come on, let's be creative. Find a way to get our attention. It's got to be handwritten. You got to use the hashtag Headliner Nation. You got to make sure we have your team name on there. And here we go with the first one. It's going to be Thomas Swan. What originally here, Ethan, drew my attention here was 2 things. First thing, it was on green paper, and I'm just not used to seeing green paper, but it popped. It stood out to me. The second thing is he is kind of knocking off our logo a little bit. He's kind of taken his team name of the Inglorious Staffords, which looks just like our Fantasy Headliners logo, but yet he's incorporated it into his team name. That's what I caught right there off the bat. I mean, but otherwise, you look at the team, there's a lot going on here. A lot going on. It looked at like at one point he's used 3 different pens. I see like a silver Sharpie at the top with the 5 and 1.
Yeah.
I see. I don't know if it was something else, and then he wrote over it with the silver Sharpie, so it looks a little bit whiter. I don't know, but then he's got the black. A lot of contrast going on here. What do you see?
Easy to read, though. So
it is.
That's nice.
Exactly, 100%. So what do you see here with his roster? Is he set up to succeed here in week 7?
Okay, so good at quarterback. Stafford, Henry. Can't go wrong with Derrick Henry.
Nope.
You definitely can't go wrong there. Joe Mixon, he's healthy now, so he should be good to go. Cooper Kupp, like the stack with Stafford. They're just balling it up right now. No wonder he's 5 and 1.
Yep.
Henry Ruggs, I think he's dealing with a little bit of bye weeks here. I don't mind it. Henry Ruggs has been okay, not great, but kind of that high upside wide receiver 2. Cordero Patterson, love that in the flex. Fant, we'll see how his night finishes up. McManus and the Panthers, we don't care about those guys. On the bench, he's got Gaskin, Jefferson. I'm guessing that was his wide receiver 2 that he had to sit
Probably.
bye weeks. Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox. Sorry, Knox is hurt. We didn't talk about him, but he broke his hand. A couple weeks for Knox. And Tim Boy's defense. On IR, he's got Kareem Hunt and Logan Thomas. Rough luck there, but at least you have Ertz and Fant and Knox. That's a lot of tight ends to be.
That's what I was going to raise my hand to ask that question. If this was your team, me personally, I would probably drop a tight end or 2. I mean, being that you have Dawson Knox, maybe you throw him into your reserve if you want to keep him, and you drop Logan Thomas. You can pick up somebody else for your bench right now. I don't know if I'd carry that many tight ends.
I definitely wouldn't, just because you really can only, you can start 2, I'm guessing, with the flex, but you're not going to most weeks. I would keep Fant. And honestly, if I'm looking at this team, I'm not carrying 2 defenses either.
No.
So down at the bottom, he said, pick up a quarterback or stream on Stafford's bye. I always choose to stream. You're going to pick up a quarterback. You're not dropping Stafford. Pick up a quarterback, whoever has the best matchup that week. But I really want to talk about these top available wide receivers, because if it was me personally, and I know you can only start 3 of them, I'm probably picking up Pittman, and I'm picking up Jeudy for sure. And probably I'm not opposed to dropping Ertz, Knox, and the Cowboys defense and picking up 3 of those wide receivers.
Wow.
What do you think?
I guess I don't hate it. I don't hate that whatsoever. You have Dawson Knox who you can throw into the reserve spot, so you'll have some options. It doesn't say whether
2 of them.
Yeah, at least 2 of them.
I would rather start Michael Pittman this week than Henry Ruggs. If it was me.
Yeah, 100%.
Why are you looking at me like that, Jake? Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you froze for a second.
What you going to say?
You literally froze like this for a second.
Well, I was waiting for you to say something. Say it to my face, Jake.
No, your Zoom froze.
Oh.
It did. It went like this. I'm not even, now that we're talking about it and now that you brought it up, I can't even cut it out, Ethan. So the people are going to see it for themselves.
It's too late.
No, it's too late. They will see what we're talking about. Handwriting wise, pretty solid handwriting, able to see it. We agree with the roster you currently have. You've already touched on the wide receivers you would pick up. The best available quarterback down there between Darnold, Carr, Burrow, Danny Dimes. Actually, it says Danny. Did I say Danny Derps?
Derps?
Looks like Derps. Personally, right now, just on the surface, I don't know who they play the week of Stafford's bye, but Joe Burrow is probably going to be somebody I'm paying close attention to that week to see if he is there.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Next one. Eric Bentley, and he's got the hurt business. It's a 4-2 record on a 10-team standard league. Now, this one stood out to me because he drew me, Ethan. It's not too often we have somebody that actually freehand draws one of us. So the fact that I see myself on this page, I had to include him. Way to go, Eric. That's a great portrait, by the way.
The hair perfect.
The hair is spot on.
I think, Jake, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm pretty sure that this is a wrestling reference. So sorry, Jake. I don't think that that's you. I know it's not me because my arms are way bigger than that dude's arms. My chest is not nearly that big, but my arms definitely are. But let's look at this team. And this is what I think a lot of teams out there are going to look like this.
Yeah,
week.
The bench.
The bench is hurting. Okay?
Yes. What bench?
5. He's got a starter with a bye. But I don't think that's. Yeah, no, the Cowboys are on a bye this week. So he's in trouble.
Yes.
I guess you're hoping that your team can put up enough points, or maybe you're just taking the L this week, going to 4-3. I don't know. You're in trouble, my dude.
Yeah.
Stafford, Henderson, Gordon. Henderson, I guess, is doing okay. With that. Stafford, I don't mind that. Antonio Brown, he should play. Sterling Shepard should play, but it's standard, so I don't love it as much. Noah Fant is playing.
Gordon found the end zone on Thursday night, so that should be a little bit of a help there for the running back spot.
Yep. Jamal Williams, we'll see what he can get. Jake, this is a philosophical question.
Okay, hit me with it.
Do you pick up a kicker in this situation? You'd have to drop Zerline to do it. I think I probably would.
I don't even think twice about it. I drop Zerline and pick up another kicker.
You pick up another kicker. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not attached to kickers unless it's maybe Justin Tucker. Maybe. And even then, it's just like, it all depends. Like,
you're probably going to be able to pick up Zerline again.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think anybody's going to, rush out to the waiver wire on his bye week to pick him up. Grab him next week if that's who you really want.
Yeah. I agree. I probably would drop the kicker and pick one up. Whoever has the best, whatever. I usually with kickers go with the highest over under. Pick the better team from the highest over under game that's available. Pick the best kicker available from that game, and go with that. Man, this is a tough week for the
tough bench.
No Diggs, no Lamb, no Eckler, Singletary. I guess as a flex, but
struggles.
Rough week. Hope you win. Good luck. Hopefully
best of luck to you.
Your opponent also is in.
See, can't you see it, Ethan? It was me. Like, look at the definition right there. It's just.
I don't
You don't see it?
I don't see it.
That's okay. The people out there can see it. Don't you worry. All right. Thank you so much for that one, Eric. Moving on to Will Madden. First off, do you think he's related to John?
Maybe.
Possibly. There's always that chance. He submitted the largest picture I think I've ever seen submitted for a team. He's got biscuits and ale, which are in a very provocative type of layout.
I see it. Is this another Manscaped ad?
Maybe it is, because his biscuits are pretty clean.
He's got some pretty clean biscuits. And if you would like clean biscuits, code is headliners.
Yeah, 20% off and free shipping at checkout. Go over to manscaped.com after the show is over. All right, now, the roster is ginormous.
Huge.
Which is a good thing, I guess, because of everything that we're going through here in week 7. He's got 3 quarterbacks, 1 3/4 technically. He has Aaron Rodgers and Teddy Bridgewater because Trevor Lawrence is on a bye. Teddy B was banged up. He didn't start him. He started Aaron, which was the right choice.
He had to start Teddy B too, QB2.
What?
It's a 2 QB league.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that.
Sorry, man. That sucks.
For running backs, he's lost Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley and Kareem Hunt.
Ooh.
I mean, can you imagine having a roster with CMC, Barkley, and Hunt, and on a weekly basis, you're rolling out Chuba Hubbard and Darrell Williams? Which isn't bad. Don't get me wrong.
Dude,
I like Chuba.
Shout out to him because he either picked correctly.
Yeah. Or he watches our waiver wire show.
Or he's just searching the wire. And you know what? Here's the thing. Even though you lose Christian McCaffrey, if you picked up Chuba Hubbard on the waiver wire and you won him with Fab, you're still okay. Like you're going to weather the storm. Same thing with Darrell Williams. I mean, if you ended up with these 2 guys, like, hey, sorry, those are pretty high upside backups to pick up off the waiver wire. This is how you take a team that was probably a championship contender and keep them that way for as long as you can. And then you get to the playoffs. Christian McCaffrey comes back. He's healthy. Saquon Barkley's healthy. Maybe Kareem Hunt comes back. All of a sudden, this is a team that, could make some noise at the end of the year. So I don't hate the strategy, even as Alex Collins and Dimitri Felton. This dude is crushing the waiver wire right now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's played it well.
I love
Wide receivers, he's got Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp too. So, I mean, that. Yep. And look at this. Wait a second, Ethan. How bad are your league mates that you have CMC, Barkley, and Adams? I mean, I guess it has to be a keeper league. It has to. There's no way around it. There's no other way to get that. But I mean, he is just absolutely dominating at all levels. Maybe other than, at tight end, he's still got TJ Hockenson, which I know some people are frustrated with, but it's the tight end position. I mean, there's very few elite ones out there. A couple defenses with the Panthers and Broncos. Overall, his roster with Aaron, Teddy B, Chuba Hubbard, Darrell Williams, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp. I mean, Can't complain about anything there. Tight end with TJ. He has please Hockenson. He's begging at this point. Wide receiver, or his flex wide receiver there was Cortland Sutton. How is Cortland Sutton doing already? Let's see. Cortland Sutton, so far at the time of this recording, has 3 receptions for 56 yards. So he's not killing it, but he's not killing you either. I don't know if you would have had a better option. I mean, you could have started Alex Collins, but with a Monday night game and a questionable tag, kind of hard to trust him. So yeah. I think overall he made the best choice there.
He could have taken Cortland Sutton out of his flex spot.
Yes. But, I mean, if you do that, who are you going to put in the flex? Adams or Kupp, right?
I mean, you kind of have to, but still.
And you're never going to sit those guys.
I'm sorry. It's just a principle, Jake. It's a principle. It's a strategy. It's a principle.
Awesome. Well, overall, love the team. Love the biscuits and ale. The biscuits looking good out there, Will. Congratulations.
Clean biscuits.
Clean biscuits. Moving on. Next one. Alec Riley. Alec Riley sent us, what does this say?
Waluigi.
Is that what it is?
It's like Waluigi.
What is that?
Waluigi is, Waluigi.
Obviously, I don't.
Okay, well, Waluigi is the evil Luigi from the Super Mario Bros.
Like the red-colored one or something? Like
no,
orange?
He's purple.
Purple. Okay.
You've never played as Waluigi ever in like Mario Kart? Nothing. Waluigi #1. You've never heard that ever. Okay, well, you're missing out. This dude's 6-0, so this team better be pretty stacked.
He better be, otherwise he plays with a bunch of losers. What does the team look like? Overall, quarterback, he's got Thomas Brady, so I guess he's doing okay there.
He'll be all right.
Wide receiver, we got Terry McLaurin, Sterling Shepard, and T. Higgins.
Not as good as I expected it to be, honestly.
Not for 6-0. Running back, he's got Derrick Henry. Well, that's definitely going to help.
That's going to be, yep.
J.D. McKissick.
That's
okay. It's not bad this week, potentially, if Antonio Gibson sits, but overall.
Yeah, he has Antonio Gibson on his bench, too. I would be starting Antonio Gibson, even though it's PPR. I have a hard time sitting Antonio Gibson. I get it, though. McKissick is going to give you the touches for sure. But you're already starting Terry McLaurin. I feel like you're limiting your upside a little bit.
Yep. Tight end, he's got, what is Darren Waller-Waugh? Is that part of the game, too, either?
Yeah, get it like Waluigi. Wow. You don't know this, Jake.
I don't. You and Alec, though. You and Alec are like locked in right now.
Me and Alec, dude. Alec's my spirit animal right now.
Apparently. Also has Josh Jacobs at his flex. We got Henry Ruggs on the bench. We got Keenan Allen, Tony Pollard, Tua, and Antonio Gibson with Kareem Hunt, Michael Thomas on IR.
This guy has to be a Raiders fan. Okay, he's got Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Daniel Carlson, Henry Ruggs is on his bench. Like,
that's true.
That's a lot of Vegas guys.
Yeah, either that or he has an unsafe obsession with the city of Las Vegas.
Also possible. If this was you, would you consider Keenan Allen in for Terry McLaurin?
No, because Keenan Allen's on a bye week.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense then. Never mind. If Keenan Allen wasn't on a bye week,
then yes, I would put Keenan Allen in over Terry McLaurin.
Okay. Just want to make sure that that is that.
Thanks for seeing if I was paying attention, though.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad somebody is.
That's right. You better believe it. Overall, the lineup, I'm just confused as to how it's 6-0. This had to have been some super luck because the team is solid.
Henry will do you some pretty amazing things.
Jim. Oh, I get it. That and Thomas Brady will go out there and put up a funny number every once in a while, and I can see how those two could carry. It's just we've talked about the struggles of McLaurin. Shepard's been banged.
Has been disappointing. I guess he was probably playing Kareem Hunt before this. Hey man, your guess is as good as mine.
I mean, hats off to you. You've hit the lucky jackpot so far in the first 6 weeks of the season. Hopefully, it can continue for you. I'm a little bit surprised. Me personally, we've talked about this numerous times. Tua on the bench. I'm probably dropping Tua, picking up somebody else for some added depth. I'm not going to carry the two quarterbacks there in a 10-team league. All right, next one up, Ethan. And it's our last team here. We got Jays of Exotic Jays. And he saw all the pretty artwork. He saw all the color and the pop that we've seen here lately. And he said, you know what? Piss on that. I'm going old school spiral notebook, ripping the paper right out. I'm going to use a red pen, though, to have a little bit of contrast for my bye weeks and a sad face. But outside of that, I'm going straight regular writing. And what really caught my attention here is his running back one, Ethan. This is Elijah Mitchell. It's Mitchell. He's a mythological beast at this point. I don't know who E. Mitchell is, but I'm worried that he's your running back one.
He's getting shot out like a missile.
He just runs out of the backfield like a missile.
Like a missile. That's crazy.
I don't know what
you hang him in the doorway. You got a mistletoe. The team's 2-4. He's got Stafford. He's got Mitchell as his running back one. That's probably a problem. Definitely a problem. I mean, Saquon Barkley, Moss is on a bye, so those were probably your two starting running backs. Normal situation. James Conner, DJ Moore, Bobby Trees, Waller, Carolina's defense. He's got the coup as his kicker. He's flexing A-Rob. Don't really have a whole lot of options here on the bench. He's got CMC on his IR as well. So there's your running backs. Another team with CMC and Barkley just getting crushed. You hate to see it.
Yep.
Overall, this is kind of, again, you're hoping things go well. But it's looking like you're probably going to not have a great week again.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough week.
I wish I had you've got a solution here in this team somewhere, but your solution is probably hoping that Saquon Barkley comes back soon.
Yes. And
that CMC is ready to go in week 10. And you're just trying to make a push for like the last spot.
Yep, exactly.
This is just one of those teams that
it's hurting.
It's just hurting. It's hurting, man.
It's hurting.
Sorry, Jay.
Jay, it'll get better. Hopefully. Can't get much worse for your bench there, Jay, but it's got to get better. All right. That was show us your teams, and now we're going to dip in the mailbag here for a few questions, Ethan. First one up is from Moss Twig. He says, who do you think has a better season-long outlook, Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold? If you had to choose one, rest of season, who's got the better outlook between Wentz and Darnold? It's pretty close, I think, in my opinion.
Really ugly, I think. I would probably still lean Sam Darnold, but it's pretty. We're talking mid to low QB2s here. I'm probably still. We've seen Sam Darnold put up good weeks. I think we're going to see more of those. I think that this Carolina team is going to play bad defense as well, and so I would probably go with Darnold if it was me.
I agree. I mean, I think as the season goes on, Carson Wentz is going to, lean on that running game a little bit more with Jonathan Taylor, especially down the stretch.
Yeah.
Plus the receiving weapons not being able to stay healthy there. I'm going to have to lean towards Darnold myself. He's had a couple bad games here the last few weeks, but the offensive mastermind of Matt Rule and Joe Brady are going to get things back on track, and he's got the weapons to do it. So I'm going to go with Sam Darnold as well. Next question is from Trahan Trevino. Is Patterson, so he's talking about Cordero Patterson, worth keeping around, or should I try to trade him for another running back? Now, I mentioned this this week in my start-sit videos and my rankings videos. I don't think you get rid of him yet because he's got a great matchup this week going up against the Miami Dolphins, who allow like 635 fantasy points a game to opposing running backs. That's what it seems like anyway. So I'm going to ride Patterson again this week, but I'm paying close attention to it because I don't believe this lasts all season long, and he's somebody that I think you can sell for a pretty penny here. You just got to make sure you do it before he falls off a cliff. I don't see it happening this week, so I'm going to hold on to him at least another week or two and kind of see how things play out.
Yeah, it really depends a lot on who you have at running back. If you have Cordero Patterson and say you lost CMC or you lost Saquon Barkley, and maybe you're just you lucked out, you got Cordero Patterson on your squad, I'm probably riding it out. I'm probably not looking to trade him. If you're stacked at running back and you're all and they're all healthy for the most part, like let's say you've got Derrick Henry and you've got a couple other guys behind him that are still pretty healthy, then I might be trying to move Cordero Patterson to shore up another position. Let's say I don't have a good tight end. Could you get a Darren Waller Waller-esque type of guy for Cordero Patterson. Maybe. I mean, Darren Waller's not been playing super well. So, those are the types of moves I'd be looking to make, but it really depends on the type of team you have. And I agree with Jake. I'm holding out until at least next week because I do think he's going to probably feast again.
Yep.
And if he feasts again, then you're talking, we're getting into some like pretty elite tier of guys that you could potentially trade him for.
Yeah, exactly. Something to pay close attention to for sure. Next one, Pad Thai 1. Who should be the best Hail Mary speculation play to stash for the rest of the year? So we're looking at deep sleepers mid-season, maybe not doing anything right now, Ethan, but that you can look at as potentially back half of the season that could, produce something for your fantasy team.
Are we assuming that these are players that are not rostered by the majority of teams? Because I feel like Michael Thomas probably fits in this category. As far as like Rashad Bateman would be up there for me. I'm trying to think of whatever running back is behind the guy that gets hurt in the next 3 weeks is probably up there. I don't know, Jake. Do you have anybody in mind that really?
I'm looking here at some names further down the list. Try to see if we can come up with somebody who maybe isn't as highly owned, that has a potential to pop off here second half of the year. Man, what happens if something happens to Josh Jacobs, like you just mentioned, with an injury? Then all of a sudden Kenyon Drake is somebody who could see some value. We saw him kind of excel in an offense last week. How about if there's some clarity in the backfield of Baltimore at any point with Devontae Freeman or Le'Veon Bell? There's somebody who's kind of not somebody you want to start right now, but has that potential late, part of the season. What about? I don't want to go too deep down here. I'm used to going pretty deep, but this is about as deep as I can get. What about this? I got one for you, Ethan. Now, it all depends on injuries, like usual. But what about Chris Evans in Cincinnati? We kind of saw him fill in last week for
he's a good pass
Samaje
catcher,
Perine.
for sure.
He's somebody you can pick up and just stash. And if anything happens to Joe Mixon, we know he's capable of playing all 3 downs and catching passes out of the backfield. That's another name that I would kind of pay attention to as well.
I would say the only other guy that I'm just kind of thinking of off the top of my head is maybe Marlon Mack, because he's been in some trade rumors. Maybe he goes somewhere where he's going to get a lot more opportunity. Maybe something happens fingers crossed, nothing happens to Jonathan Taylor. But if something were to happen, Marlon Mack would be a guy that, could see some pretty high value touches. And he hasn't looked horrible. He is coming off an Achilles tear. He's been relatively hidden because of that. And I think they're intentionally limiting his reps because they're worried about him getting hurt again, especially if they're trying to trade him. And so he's another guy that I would maybe be trying to stash.
Yep. Gotcha. Next one up, Sir Drop TV. How much should I trust the PPR projections over my gut feeling? And I saw this one and I got to make sure I reiterate, in my opinion, I don't even pay attention to projections inside whatever fantasy app you're using. That is just some wild guess that somebody's putting out there based off of whatever they want to, use as deciding factors. Sure, obviously the top studs, the guys that are ranked in the top 10 every single week, they're going to have a high projection on your team, but you know that you're going to be starting them anyway. Outside of that, I'm looking at everything from weather to fantasy points allowed by their opponent, all other kinds of things. I'm not overly concerned with making sure that at the end of the week that I'm just starting the guys with the highest projection at every position. I don't ever do that.
Yeah, I don't either. And maybe I'm biased. Of course, I'm going to consider their injury status currently. A guy like Terry McLaurin comes to mind. We know he's been banged up. He's still getting projected for major points, but he hasn't produced that. And so, your gut feeling should be less of a gut feeling and more of an educated guess based on the information you've been able to collect over the week leading up to it. That's why you watch all our videos, because we give lots and lots and lots of information. I would hope that would help, guide that gut feeling. Like, ultimately, we're not going to tell you how to run your fantasy team. Right. You start who you want to start, but we would hope that we're giving you enough information that if you have a decision that you're trying to make, that you watch the start sit videos, see what Kyle or Jake say about that, watch the injury video. If the guy's hurt, see what I say about that. And so, you make those types of guesses. Don't base anything off of what the projections say. They're going to give you a rough idea of maybe what the player's possible potential is, but most of that is based on opportunity. It's not based on how they're actually performing.
Right, 100%. All right, and last question here for the show. Aaron Brock, she says not a question, so we're going to get off easy on this one. He says, I just want you guys to laugh long and hard at everyone who faded Derrick Henry this offseason while y'all were all over him. He's 6-0, averaging 150 points in half PPR, thanks to the king. So yeah, Ethan, there were people trying to be cute out there, fading Derrick Henry. Dude was going to regress. Dude can't replicate what he did before, and now all of a sudden, his pace is ahead of that of what he was last year. So anybody who faded Derrick Henry, that's all I got to say. You don't fade Derrick Henry.
I mean, come on. This was a no-brainer. Dude's never hurt. He's built like a Mack truck. They run him 1,000 times a game. Anybody who was getting cute with it, I mean, I don't know exactly where we all had him ranked, but I know he was within the top 2, I think, for every single person on our team. The only other option was Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion. But even looking back on it now, like that was not even, shouldn't have been a thing. It should have been Derrick Henry the whole time.
Right.
The dude's a freak, doesn't need to even catch passes. So anything he gives you there is just bonus extra money.
Yep.
I think he's scoring like 2 points a game more than the next closest running back. And that's if you take out all of any receiving he's had. And so you take out all the receiving, he's still 2 points a game better. This was a joke. Anybody who said that you should fade him because they're what they're doing is they're so stuck in this mindset of like the analytics say that this guy can't keep doing this at 27. And that's what my spreadsheets say. And here's the thing is your spreadsheets lie to you, just like everybody's that just watches film, that lies to them too. The fact is that we've seen Derrick Henry do it over and over and over and over and over again. And if you try to go away from what is common sense is telling you is probably going to happen the third time, you're an idiot. Okay. And we at the Fantasy Headliners laugh at idiots. That's just what we do.
Dude, that was an epic rant. I might clip that and throw it like on TikTok or something because that was epic.
Dude, drive me crazy. People drive me crazy.
Don't leave other side, Ethan. Other side. There you go. Epic rant. Awesome. Well, hey, we covered a buttload of injuries. We dipped in the mailbag. We showed us your teams, and we had some fun along the way. But listen, we know there's a lot of question marks out there on your team, on your benches, on your rosters. Should you pick up somebody? Leave a comment down below. We'll do our best to get back with as many of you as we possibly can. But we also have the live show coming up once again Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, where we'll do one more update here as we head into the weekend games. Looking forward to doing that. So for myself and the doc, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later.